Hi friends, it's Becky, and today we opened up and looked at the Earth's Wonders Sam's bead box, and I pulled out some beads just now out of that box that I would like to use to make some earrings, because I think that would be a really fun thing to make, and earrings can be very simple to make. So I pulled out some beads. I figured I'd make a few things with you today. Some of the beads that I pulled out is, for this one, I'm using some of these English cut two-tone beads with the dark blue and the copper. I'm using some of these blue and green gemstones that were in the box. I'm going to be using the Tiara Cast Earth charms for one of the earrings. I'm going to use a couple of these owl beads and some more of the check glass beads. We've got these two-tone fire polish beads and these two-tone rondelles, and I think those will go great together. I pulled out two of these long faceted check beads, two more of the two-tone rondelles, and then these drops, these briolets, so that we can have a couple of other earrings like that. And then I have to make earrings with these cloisonné beads. They are so lightweight, they will be perfect for earrings. And I thought I would grab these, and then two of those rondelles with the crystal and copper, and then two of these drops with the crystal and copper as well. So these are the beads that I'm going to be using. I've got some ear wires that are already made, and I've got some 20 gauge craft wire. I may use some head pins for my earrings with the owls, but for the most part, what I'm going to be using and doing my earrings with is this 20 gauge copper wire. And the tools that I'm using for it are going to be the tools that I normally use for working with wire. I have my chain nose pliers, my flush cutters, and some round nose pliers. So we'll use those. And we'll start with the easiest earrings to do, and that is going to be these ones, the ones that have a little charm on them. And the easy thing to do with that is to just make myself a couple of eye pins and stack those beads on the eye pins and then make a loop at the top. So let's just make a loop on this end of my 20 gauge wire, bend it around, bend it back, and that makes me a little eye pin. So I'm going to have one loop on one end of my wire and then one loop on the other end. Let's make another loop. And you don't have to do this step if you already have eye pins. I just figure since I'm using this wire for all of my other earrings, I may as well go ahead and use it for this. This way, I can stack my beads on my wire right here. And I chose a couple of these beads that have both the blue and the green in them because it's going with Earth, and you know, it's a theme. All right, and I'm gonna want a loop that is parallel to this one. And since I want a simple loop, I'm going to bend it directly over the top of my bead. Usually when I do a wrapped loop, I like to leave a little bit of space between the top of the bead and my loop so that I have room for wrapping. But when I do my simple loops, and I'm just going to cut off everything but 1 centimeter or 1/4 inch of that wire. But yeah, when I do my simple loops, I like the loop to be right next to the beads. So I like to bend it over the top first, and I bend it first so that the loop can be centered. So now I've got my little loop-de-loop. I'm going to do that again on this one. just so that I get both of my earrings done on the same video. I know a lot of times when I do earrings, I'll do like one with y'all and then I'll do the other on my own. And I might do that for a couple of these other ones, but these are such quick and easy earrings that I don't think I really need to speed through it that much. All right, now I'm going to use my pliers and swing open this loop, attach the charm to that loop, and then grab some ear wires. All right, make sure that that's facing the right way. Close that up. And that is one pair of earrings. Let's get the other one done. Yeah, quick and easy earrings. That is the name of the game tonight. Because y'all know I'm doing easy projects this week. And I'm wrapping up the week with some easy earrings. I haven't made a bunch of earrings since, I made a couple as parts of other projects since I finished my earrings every day project, which was where I made a pair of earrings every day for the month of April. But it is mid-March and I really enjoy making earrings, so that's what we are doing tonight. And there are so many cool little pairs of beads and pairs of charms in the Sam's Bead box that I just have to do it. I just have to. Okay. So let's move these out of the way and let's get over here to this one. Now this is going to be sort of similar. I'm going to still stack the beads onto an eye pin that I'm fashioning myself, which let me just cut a couple of lengths of wire for that to begin with. And this one I may, we'll go ahead and do both of them. On this one I'm going to use a head pin for my owls, and I'm going to turn them into charms because that's something you can do with your beads, is turn them into a charm by sticking them on a head pin. All right, now this loop is going to be a wrapped loop, and so I am going to go ahead and pinch right here at the very top of my wire, bend it over the top, and this is what I was talking about with that other one. I like to leave this space when I do a wrapped loop because it gives my wire somewhere to go when I do my wrapping. All right. So now I'll talk you through the next one when we do it. I just realized I just did that real fast without really explaining what I was doing. But we'll do the next one. See, a wrapped loop. And then I like to cut off my excess wire and tuck that little tail end of wire in with my pliers. And that makes my owl into a charm. So what I was doing, by the way, I forgot to tell you what I was doing with the wrapping of the loop. I made myself some room for wrapping, and then I used my round nose pliers, and I just grip it right there. You don't have to hold it really, really hard, just enough that it's not going anywhere. And then I'm just using my fingers to push the wire around the loop, and then you can rotate the wire a little bit more, or rotate the pliers so that you can continue wrapping all the way around so that it crosses on that side. Once it's crossed, you've got your loop. And then I like to hold my loop while I do my wrapping, and you can use another pair of pliers or something to hold onto this wire. It's soft enough that I can use my fingers to wrap it. If it was a little bit firmer, I might definitely use pliers for it instead. And then once it's wrapped, cut off your excess. See how it's got like a little piece of the wire sticking out there? Because it's hard to get real close when there is a big bead in the way. I'm just using my pliers to tuck that end in so that it's not sticking out. That's all I'm doing with that. So now that I've got my charms that I've made using my drops, I can, is that cut flush? I think it is. Just making sure. I can make my little eye pins with my 20 gauge wire, just like I did with the other ones. It's basically this same earring design, you know, just with different beads. It just has an extra step of, instead of using charms that already have a loop attached to them, I made charms with my beads and head pins. That's like the big difference between those two. Next part is putting a couple of these beads on top, like that. And then getting ready. Actually, I bet I don't even need to do a second one, but I could do this one. Let's see if this works. See if that's enough wire, because I might have like cut off way too much wire initially. And then I can just use that for something else. Aha! This is definitely going to be enough wire. All right. And then I already know that this part of my finger gives me 1 centimeter of length. That's why I measure it like that. But you can use other measuring tools to cut off that 1 centimeter. Then once I've got that cut off, I use my round nose plier and I just roll that back until it meets on the other side. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. All right, let's go ahead and open this up, swing it open. And get that closed. It's just basically, it's a link. It is a wire link. That's all we're making. A couple of earring wires. I have got all of my Earth Day earrings. I'm gonna have all of them already made. Wait, did we already have Earth Day? I think we might have already had it. But that's okay. That's okay. Okay, now the second one is one where I'm going to actually do kind of a wrapped loop with these bracelets. See, there's a hole going through it right there at the top. And I want quite a bit of wire for this one. And for this one, I might just do one with you and then do the other one on my own, just because it's going to be a little more complicated. So for this one, it's not exactly going to be a wrapped loop. It'll be sort of a wrapped loop because I'm going to have enough space for this and that, and then another loop at the top. So I'm going to use my finger very gently, bend up in that direction, and then again bending up on the other side and having that crossover. Once that's crossed over, I'm going to find a spot that's sort of in the middle of this to bend with my pliers so that it's going straight up like that. And I'm going to just use my thumb to hold this firm while I wrap once around that. I'm going to actually hold this in place while I do that so that it doesn't go anywhere. All right, so now that that's wrapped once around, I think I might have done this the wrong way. I should have done the longer end for the wrapping part. But that's okay, because we're going to make it work. I'm going to pop both of these guys on here. And I'm pinching both my drop and this one. And I'm just pulling my wire around it like that. I want that wire to be visible when we look at it from the front. So it's just kind of a circle. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this end. And it looks like I did have enough wire for this to work. I'm just going to do one wrap around here. Whoop. I'm just going to tighten this up right there. Perfect. Now this part I'm going to do another wrap loop with. So I'm bending over the top of that so I have room for wrapping. Grab my round nose pliers, bend the wire over the top of my round nose pliers, and then rotate my pliers around. I let go with that so I'm not gripping it when I turn it, and then bring it around so it crosses on the other side. And now that I've got my loop up here, which I'm just going to adjust a little bit, I can wrap back down to where that other wrap is. All right, now when I do the second one, I'm going to want my wires to go in a different direction so that they're mirrored. So it'll wrap, instead of around this way, it'll wrap around the other way so that they'll be mirrored. But now that I've got those stacked up and wrapped, I can put on my ear wire, and I'll do the second one on my own. Unless you guys, well, maybe you want to see it twice. Yeah. Actually, maybe the other way. Yeah, you can see the wire better with that one. I like that one a lot. All right, now the third one, and again, we'll go ahead and just do one of these with y'all and the other one separately. For this one, it's going to be very, very similar to this, except I'm not going to be doing the wrapping around the beads with the wire. Actually, I bet this would work just fine. Let's go ahead and use this one. And I'll start at the top. We'll put on our cloisonné bead right there where the loop is, because that's going to attach the ear wire, and the heart is going to be right at the very top. I'm just straighten this out a little bit with my fingers so I can put this guy on here. And this is going to be the really fun part, because I need to bend this a little bit, not too much, not not like a 90-degree angle, more like a 45-degree angle. So I'm pointing, if this is the 6 in a clock and that's the 12, instead of pointing to the 9, I'm going to be pointing to like somewhere between the 10 and the 11. You know what I mean? Just right over there in that direction. That way, this can go around there. Okay, so I'm holding this up so that I can gauge about where I need to bend this again, because I want this to go like a, here, I'll show you, kind of like a, what is it called? One of those things that you put coats on, a coat hanger. So that's like my first coat hanger bend right there. And instead of a coat, I'm putting this on like that. And now I want to get this other wire, end of this wire, bent back in that same, I want it crossing here, basically. So if I'm holding onto this fairly firmly, I'm going to use my finger over here. I'm just going to push it over in that direction, like that. And now, I'm going to hold this gently. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just going to twist this around once. It's 20 gauge wire, so it's going to hold pretty well. Let's see, it's bent around the back, and then around the front. And I'm just going to give this a little squish to move the end of that wire in here and just tuck it in. Just tuck it in, put it to bed, read it a story, get it a glass of water, give it a gentle little hug. Because this can actually be moved a lot more than it is. Oh, you know what would help? It would really help if I was using my chain nose pliers instead of my round nose pliers, because my round nose pliers don't get as good of a grip on this wire as my chain nose pliers do, and I just totally screwed this up. But that's okay, because I can always fix it. Can always fix it. And if all else fails, I can cut this wire and start all over again. There we go. That's more like what I want that wire to do. But also this is Ellen. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to start over with this. I think maybe I wanted to do this part first, and the only reason I didn't was because I already had this all cut. So yeah, let's start with that part, because I know where I want to go and I know what I want to do, but having those beads in the way just kind of makes it a little more difficult. So let's just start over. I'm just being careful about where I am cutting the wire so that it isn't breaking the glass on this bead. I think this wire is kind of in there pretty good. Oh, there we go. I got it out. Yeah. The worst thing that can happen is that you've got to start over. That is absolutely the worst thing. Well, I mean, you could break your beads, but you know what? We're going to go with this as the worst thing that could happen. All right, so same thing that I want to do is make that coat hanger shape. I'm going to do it right now without all of those other beads being in the way by taking my brio, sliding it on there, and then bending both of these up so that it makes a triangle like that. And then this long one, I'm going to want standing straight up from about the middle of that. And this one goes around it. Sort of almost exactly like with the other one. And this way I can just wrap this wire around once. That's all I need. Cut my excess. See how much easier that was? That was so much easier, guys. Next time, or all the time, start at the bottom and work your way up when you've got this kind of a bead. So now that that's on there, I can stack these guys on. And I'm just not going to be wrapping like I did with that one. We're just putting these guys right on there. And I'm going to make myself a big old loop right up here at the top because I just feel like having a big loop. And so to do that, I'm going to wrap it around the part of these that's closer to the handle instead of further to the tip. And let's just wrap around here. I'm going to make a big old messy wrap. So that, oh. So this loop faces a specific direction, and so the heart faces a specific direction in relation to everything else. See, I've got the wire bent around the back there. There we go. Perfect. And now that can be an earring. So that's 4 earrings that we made using the May 2024 Sam's Bead Box. We've got our cloisonné with our copper and crystal drop. We've got our twisty wire one with our gemstone drop. We have our owls and our blue and green check glass beads. And then we have our earth ones. Here we go. Like that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make the second earring for each of these pairs. And I hope y'all have a fantastic weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.